solidified yet. And so as soon as we, do get that solidified and, have our dates together, have our tracks together and all that, then we'll be the first to let you all know.
Welcome to our YouTube. Welcome to our YouTube listeners.
Oh, yes. Welcome to our YouTube listeners. And of course, Brother Shahid, our director, he doesn't realize that he already welcomed you, but I'm going to thank you very much, Mr. Munir, for that wonderful introduction along with mine. Okay, so tell us a little bit more. Okay, now, what type of music do you plan on having? Like, what type of cuts, if you would? Rap, R&B, hip-hop, etc.?
Some of everything, for real. I mean, because I know both me and Eli, that's one big reason why, we click like that, because
we both do both. We both rap, we both sing.
Very talented, very talented. Now, I meant to ask you all this earlier when I interviewed you individually. I take it both of you do play instruments.
Yes.
What are some of the instruments that you, definitely you, because you grew up in the church, you said, so I knew you were on that organ and them drums or something.
Yeah.
Guitar?
Yeah, I play a little bit of guitar. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not no Jimi Hendrix on the guitar, but I do play guitar. Mostly but my baby is the piano. I love the piano.
There's nothing wrong with that. What about you?
Me, piano. I grew up playing clarinet. That's also, how I learned music theory and learn how to read music as well.
Now, see, that's very interesting, because right now the criticism has been with many elders, I'm saying people that are older than me, is that today's artists, even those my age, can't play instruments. Like Alicia Keys and Alicia Keys and Fantasia, that's like considered a rarity for a current generation or upcoming artists to play. There's really something for you brothers your age to be able to play instruments still. You talk about music theory.
Yes.
That's interesting, because what I'm noticing, going back several decades ago, you have musicians that couldn't read music, but they knew how to play instruments. Mm-hmm. But now, it seems that most of the artists coming up, they can't do either. So that's really interesting that you two can, both of you can do that. And you said music theory. Most people don't know music theory. That's a good thing. But go ahead now. You wanted to say something?
Yeah. I feel like in today's I feel like it's a lot of people who can do a lot of stuff, but it's people who can write but can't sing. So I feel like it's the same as today music. A lot of people not being forced into learning an instrument like they was back then. So I mean,
well, you got a lot of producers. Nothing wrong with that. They can't sing but write. They make all the money. A lot of you got a lot of that. We know Quincy Jones.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite people too, Quincy Jones. He's inspiring, to do everything that he did, and then in a word, he can make or break your career. That's the type of power I admire right there. Because I know he had to work hard to get where he's at right now. So if I had to say anybody to be a role model or inspire me, it would be Quincy.
Oh, so you plan to be singer, writer, producer?
I plan to do it all.
Okay, no, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, because you've actually now I take it you're actually doing that as we speak.
Yes.
Am I correct? Okay. Now, do you plan on? Now we spoke about this this joint effort. Do either of you plan? And this question might sound a little silly to those that are watching, but I must ask still for our audience. Do either of you plan on doing? I take it, rather, I'm going to state it. I take it. It's a statement and a question. I take it that you two plan to do individual albums at some point.
Yeah.
So are you taking any steps to do that now?
Yes, I actually have a project with one of my artists, Nero, InFamous Gang. I actually have a project coming out with him very, very soon this year, actually, and it's called The Book of Truth. We've been working on this project for, I want to say, about 2 years, and so, it's just a real good effort, and it is what it says it is. It's a book. It's a story, and it's multiple stories. It's, touching on the truth, talking about, things that are going on in society, talking about issues that we have, internally, and instead of holding them in like a lot of us young folks, tend to do, we're actually using the music to spread a positive message, and we're actually using our music as an outlet for, what we, used to hold inside.
It's interesting that you said that. Now, have either of you, you know, of course, people, you know, we've seen this for a long time, especially in the 1960s, where a lot of the artists, black artists in particular, were influenced by what was taking place at the time, 60s and 70s. Do you find artists such as yourself, I take it you find artists such as yourselves, you're being influenced by what's taking place now, especially in the age of Black Lives Matter, police brutality? You find yourself, I take it, being heavily influenced by that?
It's hard not to be.
Yeah.
I mean, when you constantly grow up, seeing things happening around you, you take shape to the environment around you. You are a product of your environment unless you choose to rise above it and say, no, I need to change along the way. So it's hard not to take influence from what's going on around you. And even though, like he said, when I was listening to his last interview about people promoting, I feel like it's all about perception. Because, like me, I may do a song about popping pills or drinking lean or something like that, but it's not me. When I write and I speak about it, it's not me necessarily promoting it, because I wouldn't want my daughters to do that. It's more about, this is what I do to overcome everything that I've been through in life, and because it's hard to explain, but in my generation, most parents don't listen. Or if they do listen, they'll tell you, well, instead of actually listening to understand, they'll listen to respond and tell you what you should do, instead of saying, well, instead of just to help you through the problem. They want to say, no, you need to do this. So when I say that, it's more like therapy. Like when we smoke to cope, or we smoke to get over stuff. Rather than, so when we write about it, we're writing about basically our turmoils and coming over our demons and stuff like that. So I just wanted to state that, for like, it's not necessary. Everybody don't write about that stuff to promote it.
I mean, for instance, like, if I can remember off the top, I actually have a song that touches directly on what Eli was saying, and the song is actually called Young, and I want to say it's the second verse, second half of the song. I start off by saying, a young nigga had a future, but he smoked the shit away. His parents ain't support him, so he drank away the pain. It was like, a young nigga had a future, but he smoked the shit away. His parents ain't support him, so he drank away the pain. The nigga suicidal and depression is to blame, but if you ask him what's he good, the nigga never once complained. Money can't buy happiness, I swear that shit's the truth. My mama always told me, money can't buy happiness, I swear that shit's the truth. Mama told me that shit back when I was just a youth. My mother never had to buy me some Jordan shoe, but mama gave me love, so what the fuck is happiness to you? It's happiness having the money and bitches, it's happiness having a lighter pigment. It's opportunity based off what color the skin is. Is that why the blacks don't get any privilege? They treat us like we slaves instead of civilians. And, of course there's more after that, but, that's just a little sample of that, and it touches directly on what he's saying. Even though, I mentioned the drugs and, the alcohol, I'm touching directly and putting it out there that, I'm not condoning anybody to do these things, but a young man had a future, he smoked that shit away. His parents wasn't there for him. His parents didn't support him, or they didn't believe in his dream. So he drank away the pain. He thought that he wouldn't be good enough. He thought that, it was true. And, this actually touches on, who I used to be. And at this point in my life, I can honestly say that I'm genuinely happy with who I am and with where I am and how I got there. Because I understand that every trial and tribulation, every day of hunger, every day of abuse, every day of everything that I had to overcome and go through, it was all for a reason. It was also I could become who I am today, which is InFamous the Great.
Okay, as we conclude, I want to know, what advice do you have? Of course, I have to ask both of you this. What advice do you have? And I know you get asked this all the time, and I hate to sound redundant. What advice do you have for artists coming behind you?
I just tell them, be yourself. Don't let your environment influence you to become something that you're not. Make sure, if anything, that you're influencing your environment to become what it should be and what it's meant to be.
Also, just to piggyback off what he said, be yourself, because you're not gonna sound great trying to sound like your favorite rapper or your favorite singer, trying to sing or do a song exactly like them. And I think a lot of people don't understand that the reason why it's so many famous artists from back in the day and if they was easy to come up is because they had their own identity. Wasn't no hip hop person trying to be like another hip hop person, piggybacking off another hip hop style. Although they all had their idols which influenced them, they still came up doing their own thing. So you ain't gonna get noticed being like the same person right there, right next to you. So just be yourself.
Now, where can people find you two online?
Facebook, Instagram, Will Be Studios, InFamous Productions, Kings Productions.
But you're on Instagram as well? Or
Yeah, we're on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter.
Under the same names, though. I'm saying like
yeah, under the same name.
Yeah, but my Facebook is Will Be King.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what about on Twitter and Instagram? What's your name on there? Same thing. Would be.
Yeah, Will Be Studio.
Would be Studio on Instagram and Snapchat as well, or just Instagram and Twitter? Like
Just on Instagram.
okay, so you're just on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, I don't have a Snapchat.
Okay, and you're on all of that.
Yeah, for me, my Instagram would be, I want to say it's infamous_the_great, and Snapchat would be under Reckless Twan. You should see Infamous the Great come up, and I want to say Twitter should be Infamous Productions.
Now you said one more time. Snap under. You said Infamous Twan. What did you just say? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's under Snapchat is under Reckless Twan,
Reckless Twan,
and then
okay.
if you when you see the name come up, it should say Infamous the Great.
Okay, well listen, we thank you very much.
I got
Oh,
a
go ahead,
question
bro.
for you.
Oh, yes, sir.
How do you picture today's music? Like, what is your take on it, your opinion on today's music and how it evolved from back then?
Well, brother, this is one of the rare occasions, I feel like I'm tapping Smiley. Oftentimes, those of you that are tuning in, oftentimes we never have the interview. We flip the script on the interviewer, and I'm flattered. Well, listen, a professor of mine by the name of Yusuf Ali, he was, Sister Soldier, rapper Sister Soldier, right?
Yes.
He was her professor, but I had him 20 years ago when I was at William Patterson University as an undergrad in New Jersey, and he had introduced me and many people to a concept called musicology, the study of music, but he also introduced us to something called ethnomusicology. That's just a fancy way of saying music of black folks and music of non-white folks. And you can always, as Professor Ali taught us, you can always tell the thinking of a people based on the music that they listen to. I feel that today's music, mainstream music, in terms of hip-hop and rap, has been co-opted. I feel that it has been corrupted, intentionally corrupted. In fact, you brothers, I don't think you brothers were born here. Y'all weren't born yet in 1992, 93. Y'all weren't here yet. But I remember in 1993 when the Chronic came. And I love Dre and I love Snoop, but when the Chronic came, brother, that was where you saw the beginning of so-called gangster rap. I was 15 going on 16, the summer of 93, when the Chronic got released. No, actually, the Chronic got released, I think, in 92, but I was my freshman year in high school. And that's when you begin seeing the so-called gangster rap become a pandemic. And so it went from us rapping about, with you two, rapping about the sign of the times and rapping about uplifting each other to bitches and hoes. Now, I don't believe in censorship. You know why? Because so-called gangster rap, it's a perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perspective. You have you do have people that live that, even though many of the rappers that talk that stuff don't live that. But they, I don't believe in censorship. I believe for every gangster rap song that we play, we should, there should be an uplifting song that we should hear as well. So I don't believe in banning gangster rap. That's a reality that a lot of us deal with. But I believe in having balance, melodic balance, as the ancestors said. But I believe that hip hop and rap were intentionally taken over to corrupt black youth because the civil rights movement and the black power movement were destroyed before either of us were born, intentionally by the United States government. The counterintelligence program said that it served the purpose of neutralizing the black community and preventing a messiah from raising amongst the black community that would unify us. J. Edgar Hoover, he was head of the FBI at that time, and he started COINTELPRO, I believe, in 59 or 1960. But anyway, when hip hop began to emerge in like like right before I was born, 75, 76. And when rap came on the scene, because we have to make the distinction, there's a difference between rap and hip hop. Hip hop is the culture, rap is a part of it, but they put the two together. But anyway, rap music, when you listen to the early rap songs of the 70s and early 80s, you heard Brand Nubian, talking about the black man as God, Big Daddy Kane, Curtis Blow, KRS-One, Public Enemy, who I've met many of the pioneers of hip hop. I've had the privilege of meeting them and interviewing some of them. But anyway, they were actually ushering in the reemergence of the Black Power movement, Black Liberation movement. And then all of a sudden, the early 90s, once again, you started seeing a resurgence of the Black Power movement, particularly in the early 90s. And then what happened? The Chronic came, gangsta rap, that came to counter all that. And I watched as it's properly referred to, conscious music dying. And so, as positive rappers or positive artists got, now pushed underground for the most part. And you still see a few positive rappers, as they say. I don't like keep using that expression, but you understand, conscious rappers that are out there, Most Def, Talib Kweli. I know some of them that are doing good, but they barely doing good in many cases. So, like I said,
I believe in like what you're saying. Got to be a balance, because you can't claim to be conscious rapper, or knowing the things that's going on around you, your reality. Like you can be woke and not take part in it, but you still have to acknowledge that this is what I live around and what I see on the daily. So yeah, I believe it does have to be a balance there.
And then you have to keep in mind too, brothers, is that, and I'm sure you've heard this, some people in the industry, okay, because I know people personally in the industry as you do. Oftentimes, keep in mind, most of rap music is ran by white corporations. And there were several documentaries. Unfortunately, I can't name one. I hate to tell people, it's going on YouTube, but they speak about how white corporations saw hip hop and rap as a threat, so they co-opted it because of the influence that it has to galvanize the masses, the black masses in particular. Oftentimes, when you go to these white record executives, they'll tell you, no, you can't rap that positive stuff here. You got to rap about bitches and hoes and killing people.
But it's funny. It may have worked for a little while, but hip hop and rap. And I like how you separated the two, because there is a difference between the two. But hip hop and rap, it's still taking over right now. I think it had the opposite effect, because of the fact that, like you said, it may have caused chaos in the black community, but now everybody, no matter what race you are, is trying to get into hip hop.
Oh,
I remember at one point where they said hip hop, everybody was like, "Oh, hip hop, that music sucks."
Well, for decades, but I know with younger brothers, that's been like going back when brothers were babies. I remember, in fact, a long time ago, in 1997, I was with Minister Louis Farrakhan, and the rappers have tremendous respect for him to this day. Whether you be conscious gangster rappers, all the rappers love Minister Farrakhan because, unlike most black leaders, he never trashed rap. He might criticize the rappers, but he showed them their respect. He said, look, anytime y'all got white, he's talking to the black hip hopsters. I was at a conference with him. He said, look, anytime y'all got white kids, you got these white kids saying, ho, at that time, hip hop has always been powerful like that. And at one time, it was reported that white young people were the ones buying most of the rap albums. You might have heard that a few times. On and off, that's happened. Like Public Enemy, at one time, most of the people getting their stuff were white young people in the suburbs across the country. And I know the members of Public Enemy personally,
Yeah.
Like I was just with one.
You're gonna have to introduce me.
Yeah, I can do that, brother. I was just with one last week, brother. Two of them live here in D.C.
Really? Yeah, you gotta introduce
I know,
me.
yeah. I can introduce. Two of them live here in D.C. Yeah, but like I said, but this is an excellent dialogue, brothers, and I'm not you two are very phenomenal. Y'all are very, y'all are intelligent. Y'all don't come across as being dumb at all. So I'm not at all surprised at the wisdom you all were dropping, in this interview and the previous ones. Thank you very much, and thank you, brother, for flipping the script on me, brother. That happened to a mentor of mine one time, Tabitha Smiley. Yeah. Sister, he was interviewing. She said, well, let me ask you a question, and he said, he was like, wow, but I appreciate it. Thank you. I like being challenged. Thank you very much. Okay, family, I'm Doshon Farad. We're here with InFamous and Would Be King. You're watching Indie Community TV's YouTube Blast. See you next time. Have a good evening. Thank you, brothers.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we gotta stop this now. Yeah. Brother, I went to Sinful
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went to Symphony of Others. In fact, I just every night I got invited to Durham actually like the other day. But I love that.
Oh,